Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. CARICOM's 50th anniversary in Port of Spain, Trinidad, continues to take center stage. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 6th July 2023. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. The symbolic raising of the flag as CARICOM looks back on 50 years of service to the region. Joachim Duplessis of HTS News Force reports.
The 45th regular meeting of the Conference of Government of the CARICOM community opened on Monday the 3rd of July in Trinidad and Tobago. It was a packed ballroom as the heads of government were ushered in one by one to the podium to stand before their respective flags.
St. Lucia, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, Prime Minister.
The event was interlaced with numerous musical performances. CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett encouraged regional leaders to confront the vexing issues affecting regional integration.
Yes, we do have our challenges, and there are areas crying out for improvement which continue to bedevil us. The knotty issue of transportation, expansion of intra-regional trade, hassle-free movement of our citizens, and the pervasive nature of crime and insecurity stand out in that regard. Time and again, despite changing global realities, our community has demonstrated that resolve and resilience necessary to maintain the course of integration. The Caribbean community has done well. It is therefore fitting that we acknowledge and celebrate our Golden Jubilee. I have every confidence that our deliberations and decisions over the next 2 days of meeting will set us on a course for another 50 successful years.
The culture and talent of Trinidad and Tobago were on full display as the heads of government discussed critical issues of the region with musical intermissions to lighten the mood. Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres addressed a matter of pressing concern, pointing to the ongoing political instability in Haiti.
I am coming here from Haiti. The security situation is appalling, humanitarian needs are soaring, and there is not yet a full political solution in sight. But I came with hope and optimism. And it is impossible to look at the crisis without seeing the long shadow of centuries of colonial exploitation, extortion, dictatorship, and other screaming injustices. We must help ease the suffering of the Haitian people. And I want to remind that our humanitarian appeal is only funded at 23%. It is a tragedy within a tragedy.
Closing of the proceedings was Dominica's Prime Minister and incoming Chairman of CARICOM, Roosevelt Skerrit.
I believe it is fitting that we should gather here in Trinidad and Tobago on this most significant occasion in the history of the Caribbean community, CARICOM. It is significant because it was here 50 years ago that Prime Ministers Errol Barrow of Barbados, Forbes Burnham of Guyana, Michael Manley of Jamaica, and Dr. Eric Williams of Trinidad and Tobago signed the Treaty of Chaguaramas, setting the region on a solid footing on the road to integration.
July 4th marks the 50th anniversary of CARICOM, with the landmark achievement celebrated under the theme 50 Years Strong, a solid foundation to build on. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre will engage in high-level meetings and receive reports on trade negotiations, security, agriculture and food security, climate change and climate finance, CARICOM single market and economy and education from various subcommittees. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News Force.
The 3 days of activities to mark the 50th anniversary of CARICOM from the 3rd to the 5th of July provided an opportunity for the representatives of the member states of CARICOM to remember those who had laid the foundation of Caribbean integration. Solange Alfred of HTS News Force has more.
It was a military-style showing at the convention center in Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, as CARICOM celebrated its 50th anniversary with a flag-raising ceremony. Heads of government of the region gathered on a rainy Tuesday morning to observe the 50th anniversary of CARICOM.
Chaguaramas holds a special place in our hearts because of its role in the creation of the Caribbean community. Had we been present 50 years ago on these very grounds, we would have been privy to events that changed the course of our region's history. Undoubtedly, the air was filled then, as it is now, with expectation, joy, and hope for the future.
Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, called on the region's heads to pursue their collective goals for shared prosperity.
A common theme throughout these messages was the notion of the Caribbean as representing more than Anglophone Caribbean. Dr. Williams, Burnham, and Manley mentioned that. Now CARICOM includes Suriname and Haiti. Today, we look forward towards greeting Martinique and the Dutch Antilles. The community should be outward-looking. This started on the 4th day of July 1973 and continues to this day. But I think we should make an observation here. Dr. Williams was no mean historian, and it is not by accident that the CARICOM seed was sown on July the 4th in this old American naval base on the Independence Day of the United States.
Each head of government of CARICOM signed the Treaty of Chaguaramas, a symbolic tree planting activity on a rainy Tuesday morning would close the curtains on a very notable day in the history of Caribbean integration.
It's a great day for the Caribbean. It's a precious moment in history, and we come together to celebrate CARICOM's Golden Jubilee.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
At the start of the 45th Heads of Government CARICOM meeting on Tuesday, several organizations, including the Commonwealth, congratulated CARICOM on its 50th anniversary, urging the body to continue along its path. Also among them was the Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Luis Almagro.
So far you stay united, that is a blessing for this hemisphere, for all these regions. Empower your people, empower your youth, empower your women.
Countries also expressed their praise for CARICOM, with the United Kingdom recognizing a powerful stance taken by the Caribbean community.
I'm sure we will hear many examples of your successes. For me, it was very powerful to hear you speak in unison to condemn Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine.
And Mexico hailed CARICOM for its talks with the United States to stem the flow of firearms into the region.
We appreciate the interest of several member countries on the litigation against private companies of the firearm industry in the United States of America. Mexico has taken note of the concern expressed by the CARICOM membership to Vice President Kamala Harris on June 8, 2023 in Nassau.
A promise by South Korea also made its way into the opening statements.
That we will
increase our contribution to the Korea CARICOM Cooperation Fund fivefold next year.
Several other countries, including Canada, China, and the Development Bank of Latin America, CAF, also praised CARICOM on its 50th anniversary. Sonolala, TTT News.
Heavy rainfall and high winds did not deter the atmosphere at the Chaguaramas Convention Center, where Caribbean leaders and specially invited guests celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Caribbean community, CARICOM. Ayana Carter brings this report.
Maybe it was a message from the forefathers of CARICOM, where on the day of the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of Chaguaramas, the official establishment of the CARICOM, Prime Ministers Errol Barrow for Barbados, Forbes Burnham for Guyana, Dr. Eric Williams for Trinidad and Tobago, and Michael Manley for Jamaica, bestowed showers of blessings on the current leaders of the Caribbean institution, associate member states, and specially invited guests at the Chaguaramas Convention Center on Tuesday morning. Despite the weather, the flags of each CARICOM nation were hoisted by members of the Defense Force as a symbol of true Caribbean unity and pride. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, in his address, noted that the Caribbean community can boast of many accomplishments, which has bolstered the development of the region. He noted, despite the several limitations and challenges faced, CARICOM is stronger together.
So as we take stock of the last 50 years, and look with anticipation towards the next 50. Let us do so knowing that whatever divides us will never be bigger than that which unites us. We will always be stronger together than we are apart. Let us go towards the future, confident in our strengths, cognizant of our weaknesses, and determined to strive through both towards success.
Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerritt, admonished his fellow leaders to continue the efforts toward true integration, the creation of a single domestic space, and to ensure developed nations do what's right by CARICOM on the issue of climate change.
The issue of climate change and the kicking down the bucket of firm decisions to address our concerns in the Caribbean community. And sometimes we feel like giving up. We feel like not going to any of the COP conferences. But we must never relent on our fight against an injustice, like our forebears who fought for our emancipation.
He urged leaders to use this celebration as a time of introspection and reflection as we chart the way forward as a community. Ayana Carter, TTT News.
Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, is cautiously optimistic about CARICOM's goal to reduce the region's food import bill by 25% by 2025. In August 2022, member states committed to reduce the region's huge food expense by incorporating all stakeholders within the region. Speaking to reporters at the Heads of Government meeting in Port of Spain, Dr. Gonsalves acknowledged Guyana for leading the agenda. He questioned whether the target would be reachable by 2025, but noted the importance of setting targets.
The President of Guyana is doing a lot of good work on the initiative to reduce food imports by 25% by 2025. Don't know if we're going to get to it, but at least you have to set yourself targets, and we are seeing some impact already. It's just another 2 years to 2025. The progress is uneven, but it's good that we're making progress.
ZNS News of the Bahamas reports that Commonwealth Secretary General Patricia Scotland visits the Caribbean region.
Now, over the next 2 days of deliberations, Caribbean leaders will hear from special guest Commonwealth Secretary General the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland KC. She's expected to update the group on preparations for CHOGM scheduled to take place in Samoa October 21st. A release notes that particular attention will be placed on the significant gap between the ambitious climate finance pledges and the limited funding actually dispersed to help developing countries tackle climate change. The Secretary General charges that we cannot stand by as small and vulnerable states drown in rising seas and suffocate under crushing debt. Reiterating an argument Prime Minister Davis has long advanced, she added that small states least responsible for climate change suffer a double injustice, ensuring the devastating aftermath of disasters and grappling with exorbitant borrowing cost of recovery. Following the CARICOM conference, it's expected the Secretary General will make an official visit to the Bahamas to participate in celebrations for the 50th anniversary of independence.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.